Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Cowboys of TIFP!
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw, everybody! Let's enjoy some more tech news.
Rounding up all these leaks and rumors. I'd whistle it, but I don't want to get this claimed by another Chinese firm.
So Apple's rumored that they canceled their plan to build smart glasses.
And we're going to finish the rest of the show like this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the iTunes Fan Podcast. As always, I'm Teddy Macker from the iTunes Fanboy.
My name is Alpha DeWolf, and I made sure that I was actually recording when we started filming initially, unlike somebody else.
Yeah, because I had a small problem where I forgot to record, so we were already 10 minutes in until I realized I wasn't recording. And TabbyCat406, on an unrelated topic, TabbyCat406 will not be joining us because he hit a mailbox, or he grazed it with his car, so... Yeah, meanwhile, we were talking about Alpha's iPad-only challenge before we got interrupted by the fact that I wasn't recording, so shall we go back
Yeah,
into
Murphy's
that?
Law seems to be in full effect today, if I'm being honest.
What's Murphy's Law?
Murphy's Law states anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Oh, yeah, Murphy's Law is in full effect, alright.
So what's next? Murphy's Law is going to take out the power? I actually wouldn't be shocked if that were to happen because it's literally it's a complete blizzard right now. The winds are super high. I would not be surprised if we lose power midway through if that were to happen. So, yeah, if I randomly just get disconnected, that's probably what happened.
Well, this is not the first episode that you've lost power during the recording of, so...
Yeah, last time that happened, we were literally just about to start recording, and that's when I lost power.
Yeah, but before Alpha loses power, shall we go back into Alpha's iPad-only challenge?
Yeah, so you might have noticed, things look a little different in my environment at the moment, and that's because I'm not using the Mac this time. I'm actually recording this on my iPhone, not using OBS, anything like that, so let's hope my iPhone doesn't randomly run out of storage on this, and I'm going to have no clue if it does or not, because I can't see the screen. I'm using the rear cameras. So, but I do know it is recording. And let me check again to make sure I didn't jinx myself. Yep, still recording.
Ew.
So... yeah, I'm using my iPhone to record this since I haven't found a good alternative for the iPad at least. But I'm doing if you see me look down a lot, it's because my iPad is right here on my desk. And that's what I'm using to host the Discord call on. But yeah, at the moment, I'm in an iPad-only challenge. I'm not allowed to use my MacBook. And let's just say, it's not going that great.
Why should I not be shocked? Final Cut Pro for iPad 2 finally added sound effects, which, let me actually check if the iPad 4's version of iMovie on iOS 6 has that, because that's what I was in the process of checking. Man, I love this animation. New project.
So yeah, for your information, last time I tried Final Cut, no sound effects. The sound effects library was just completely missing.
Look, this is my iPad 4 on iOS, dual boot on iOS 6, and it has sound effects.
That's theme music, slightly different from sound effects, but...
the sound effect... to be fair, sound effects weren't necessarily a big thing on iMovie. But no, I didn't even think it had basic theme music at first.
Well, yeah, the iPad did have basic theme... The Final Cut did have theme music at launch. The problem was it had zero sound effects. Just nothing.
This is one that's no longer on iMovie. called iReport. Or I'll stop that.
I heard nothing. I'm not even joking. Nothing came through, and I think that's Discord's fault.
Yeah, for Discord on the iPad, at least for Alpha, it's not working well. Whilst you guys won't see anything in the final podcast episode, so any decrease in audio quality, because Discord won't let him change his iPad's built-in microphone on the iPad. As a result, he has to use his AirPods Max microphone, so I can hear the muffled audio quality. And of course, he looks very pixelated on his own.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. On my end of the iPad, which I've sent you a screenshot, so you could probably put that in post, but from what I'm seeing, this is my end of the camera. I look more pixelated than Teddy does, which makes no sense. Why?
I don't know. It makes just as much sense as why my iPhone 2G suddenly won't charge for tomorrow's video.
Hey, I'm having Bluetooth issues with my iMac at the moment because of course I am.
Well, your card is also third party, so it makes a lot of sense.
So, anywho, back to the iPad challenge and such. So, yeah, Final Cut now has sound effects, but I think that's literally the only improvement they've made aside from, okay, I guess you can now record directly into directly into the timeline with the cameras or smartphone cameras or something like that.
Can you add voiceovers? Because I know Tabby couldn't add voiceovers when he tried Final Cut.
The thing is, though, I don't add voiceovers in the traditional way, and those voiceovers that I had in my last video were previous recordings before the iPad challenge started.
Yeah.
And it's because now when I do my voiceovers, I'm using my music set to record them, actually.
So yeah. I guess that would be more of a Tabby question, but he's not going to be here tonight, so...
So, yeah, I did not test out if you could do voiceovers, and that's not how I traditionally add them. The way I do it is I prepare a keynote slide presentation, then just have that up on display, and then I have my microphone where my very fancy / expensive, let me grab it real quick. It's my Shure SM58. This is what I use for recording my voiceovers. I'd love to record my videos with this. The problem is you kind of have to get it close. And I'm one of those people who does not like the look of, well, microphones sticking in the host's face just for good audio quality. It doesn't look good. If you can get good audio and not have it in front of your mouth and your face like that, then that's a real professional setup. So, I just need to find a way to get something decent for audio to work to finally fix the audio in my videos.
I haven't heard any issues, but to be fair, I'm also not an audiophile.
So, yeah, that's the story with how I do my voiceovers for that. But, my God, the amount of times that thing crashed is just absolutely insane. In fact, I had it crash one time so hard. It didn't just crash the app, it crashed the entire iPad. The whole iPad had to restart.
That reminds me of, let me actually see if my iPhone 7 running it is still has power or not, but that reminds me of the iOS 11 days. And yes, it does have power.
And so, yeah, editing, especially big projects on Final Cut for the iPad is not going to be fun. Again, I'm stuck doing this for like a whole month, so...
Reminds me of that time I lived with iOS 9 for a week, and Tabby forgot to record a video on it, and I had to live with iOS... Tabby got to live on an iPhone 6s, plus I had to use an iPhone 4S. Which the 6S Plus is the best iPhone that runs iOS 9. The 4S is the worst.
Yeah, I can understand why.
Yeah, well, again, I've explained how bad A5 devices are on iOS 9.
So, yeah.
Okay, this iPhone has...
and then also, just trying to continue on, because we've lost so much time trying to get this going.
11, baby. Which, this has a 1% juice, so I should...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, another issue that I came across in this challenge is... Apple, I'm dead serious. This is supposed to be a professional iPad. Why is there only one USB-C port?
I don't know, but that's irritating.
Because this whole time when I'm trying to edit my project, I was trying to edit the Hummer EV video. The entire time I was trying to edit that, I did it on an external hard drive because I knew the whole thing's in 4K and it's going to take up a ton of storage. So I decided, let's just edit it off the hard drive so I don't run into internal storage limitations. Which it turns out that was a smart idea on my end, because if I did it internally on the iPad, I would have completely run out of space. But that meant I could not charge the iPad and use the drive at the same time. And because it's a spinning hard drive, it's using a lot more power. In fact, basically, I could only edit 2 hours before I have to plug the iPad back in.
That's raw.
Yeah, it's not particularly great. That's another benefit to having a laptop form factor. You actually have room for a bigger battery.
Yeah.
So, that's the Final Cut part. And then, dude, scripting on the iPad is a terrible experience if you do not use a Bluetooth keyboard or anything of that nature.
I actually kind of like it, but at the same time, I also like using my MacBook.
Well, if you're finishing a draft or just making some small, quick edits, it's completely fine. The on-screen keyboard works. The problem is when you're writing a very long, rough draft or rough script.
Yeah, that's why I don't always use my Mac for scripting my videos if I script them, because I would have to airdrop them to my iPad so I could have them in a more portable form factor, but I generally do prefer using my Mac just because my iPad's on-screen keyboard is not the nicest to use, and to be honest, like those Magic keyboard, Apple's official iPad keyboards, my problem with them is that they're too thin, so they don't offer a good. So if I'm on my couch, I don't necessarily want to use my iPad's keyboard. Like I want to use my MacBook's keyboard.
So what I ended up doing was I got my Bluetooth keyboard that I primarily use for my desktop setup, but I just paired that to the iPad and used that for my long typing sessions. But it's just, when you're looking for a portable device and you know you're going to be typing a lot, then you should instantly know that the iPad is not the right device for you. Sure, it's portable, it's light, it's relatively compact, especially compared to most laptops nowadays. But dude, the keyboard experience when it comes to long typing sessions, you just can't beat the laptop.
Yeah, you can't.
So that's one of the very clear and obvious downsides. Like, I mean, is it possible to write a rough draft on the iPad without using a physical keyboard? Yeah, but it ain't gonna be fun. So, those are the two biggest things that I've learned so far in my iPad-only challenge. Nothing changed for the thumbnails because I already used the iPad as my thumbnail machine. But, yeah, editing videos, can it do it? I mean, yes. Yes, it can. I was finally able to insert my intro graphics this time. Though I couldn't use the same format that I use for text titles and such. I typically have a specific graphic that I like to use for giving scores and various other things, but that format was not found on Final Cut for iPad. It's only in Final Cut for Mac, I guess. So.
I didn't notice anything too different, though, so it worked out.
Yeah, I'll say it's improved, but it's still not completely feature complete.
And mind you, this is a subscription
Yes.
service.
So I've already paid the $5 for this month just to try it again. Though I will not be renewing that subscription by the end of this month. I promise you that.
I understand, but shall I go ahead and move on to our next topic? Just because...
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about the iPad other than I discovered teleprompter mode, but...
Yeah, so basically, if you set basically how teleprompter mode works is it's not officially called teleprompter mode, but if you change go into the three dot section and you put your three dot sections on the top right corner of a Pages document. I can't actually show you this because my documents that right now, except for videos, scripts are personal. But that would show. But then you can go into presenter mode, and then from there you can have auto scroll, and boom, you got teleprompter.
Yeah, dude, that is so nice. And I wanted to go back to scripting videos completely because, goodness, I ramble so much. Like, it feels like half of what I'm cutting out is just pure rambling. And nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah, that's why generally for the more explanatory type of videos like you do, generally those are videos I prefer scripting. Well, I have a YouTube video tomorrow about the first generation iPhone versus the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I'm not going to script that just because the differences should be obvious.
I mean, at least keep some notes or something for smaller things you might forget.
I mean, to be honest, like there aren't necessarily that many bit. I'm gonna do it kind of like how I used to do my videos, where I just kind of keep memories and stuff. Just because I don't like scripting. Because if I don't have to, I don't like scripting my videos. Just because, especially now that I'm so preoccupied with schoolwork, it's hard to get motivation to script videos.
Yeah, fair enough. Though I'm going to try to get back into it and getting my videos to be more professional. And now that I finally came up with a custom solution for a teleprompter, that'll be so much easier.
Yeah, it'll be easier for me, too.
Because my biggest pain point when it comes to scripted videos, the scripting process at all is not the actual pain point. My problem is when it comes actually time to film it, and you have to read the script.
Yeah, but that's become such a problem in my videos, too, with my scripted videos. Because, you saw my video about addressing my voice, so you understand how I just can't exactly make my voice seem natural enough when scripting my videos.
Yeah, for me, my issue is I can't memorize every sentence and phrase. The second I look back to the camera, I instantly forget what is it I need to say, and I end up needing to do like a gazillion retakes, and I'm wasting all my storage. It's just, is it a nightmare? But now that I finally have a good solution for the teleprompter, it's not perfect. Like, the way teleprompters typically work is you have your camera is hidden in this box, and right in front of it is a piece of glass that's tilted at an angle. And typically you'd have your screen flat, and the glass will mirror that image. So that way, if you look at the text, right behind that text is secretly the camera. That's how a lot of people actually record their videos. They have their scripts literally placed in front of the camera, but because of that glass, the camera lens cannot see the text. That's how a teleprompter works. I don't have anything fancy like that. Teddy does, funny enough. He just needs a better mounting solution for it.
Yeah. Yeah, because my teleprompter is too heavy to fit on my tripod, so I would have to... Well, actually, I have a new tripod now, but I still think it would be too heavy.
So...
And I can't exactly mount it behind where I normally film my videos, because if you guys watch my set tours, you know that in the general vicinity of my desk where my podcast and YouTube videos are recorded, literally in front of it, it's a window. So I can't exactly mount things to a window.
Well, you could get one of those suction cups that sucks onto the glass.
I mean, I could, but... Actually, I could do that, but I don't...
I would not.
I
would not. I never trust those things, especially with heavy objects.
Yeah, and also I have cats.
Yeah,
you know?
that would be an issue.
And I do sleep in here at night, so I do need to keep I do need to have the curtains closed, so that way, well, not like there's not that much light at 6:30. Well, I typically get up at 6:30 a.m. on weekdays, but not like there's not usually that much light at 6:30 to wake me up, except at the beginnings and ends of the school year. And for Roof Time November, not like there's that much light, but for non-school days.
Yeah, so, hey, teleprompter mode, that's nice.
Yeah, it truly is.
Anywho, that's the final thing I have to talk about when it comes to the iPad challenge.
Oh. Shall I move on to Alpha's new set?
Yeah, that's another reason why my environment looks a little different at the moment. It's because I built kind of am still in the process of building out the set, but I pretty much have a brand new set that you'll be seeing in my next gadgets video. I'm really changing things up for the gadgets channel because, I mean, for one, Apple is in a very bad state right now when it comes to anything that is exciting and worth talking about. Because it feels like video after video, it's just constant, AI is bad, AI is pointless. Why the heck are we talking about this still? I want to rip my hair out my head.
Oh.
So.
Oh, we still have 2 AI topics, or technically 4, although only 2 really heavily focus on AI.
Yeah.
Well, really only 1.
Yeah, we're still going to end up talking about it, but it's just, I feel like that's all I could ramble about, and that was the other issue. I feel like I ramble way too much in my recordings, to the point where I can never conclude them. My conclusions are always, like, very scrappily put together and such. It's just, nothing was professional about it. So that's why I'm going back to scripting my videos, so that way I can finally conclude them with a proper conclusion. But yeah, to do that, I've also designed a new set.
Didn't you also...
that features the iMac. Teddy's seen some images, and he'll see what it looks like in post. I'm going to take the camera off the tripod so I can show you guys what it looks like more appropriately. So... Alright, moving back a bit, you might notice we have a new desk. Yes.
Yes, it's a desk that raises, and your mom got one too.
Yeah, funny enough, my mom came in my room yesterday, and I showed her the desk, and I guess she loved it so much, she asked me to send her a link to the Amazon page, and she ordered one 2 minutes after I sent her the text. But yeah, this is one of those stand-up desks where if I change some settings here, the desk can raise up. And this is effectively where it's at its standing height. I can lower it all the way down. I have a specific preset just to bring it all the way down. Yeah, despite this being an Imperial product, why do we have the measurements in centimeters? That makes no sense. But yeah, it's a
That's
motorized desk. It has some drawers where I'm storing some stuff. The iMac makes a return since I got it repaired. And yeah, it just gives me a whole new angle of the tech set, and it gives me the flexibility of I can either still use the old set where I could just stand and face the wall like this, the same angle you guys are very much familiar with. I could still do that if I lower the desk just a little bit, which I can do that. Or I could try a new angle just to spice things up a bit. It'd also be really nice to have an open and exposed desk for... oops, I gotta put the camera back. It'd also be really nice to have an open and exposed desk for product unboxings and product showcases, because ever since I moved my L-shaped desk to be into the corner, it's become a lot more difficult to do said things, so... But yeah, that's the new desk.
Yeah, I understand where it comes from, because... To be fair, one of the reasons why I don't have my R-box case on my iPhone 14 Pro is because with the way my desk is, I have some problems with the high, and my iPhone is at 2% charge. Okay, my 14 Pro's battery life is actually getting kind of bad, I've noticed.
Really, what's the health at?
Or I mean, it's not bad health, but it's just that I had an issue where we're in low, like, actually it was 2 days ago, but. I mean, it just lowered to 95%.
But to be clear, that's not terrible considering everybody
much.
else's 14 Pros, if you remember the strangely quick degradation on those things.
Yeah. My iPhone 14 Pro's battery health is good, but I think I think a large factor for that is when as I got this iPhone 14 Pros when I was in 8th grade. And of course, well, I mean, I could technically bring my phone to school then, but I would literally have to have it powered down in my locker. And because I was literally just going straight home, directly to and from school with usually my dad who had a phone on him. As a result, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to bring my phone to school. Then, however, now that I do bring my phone to school more, I don't use it that much more, but I do use it more, so I guess that's why. So that might be another reason why too. And I mean, my phone is over 2 years old at this point, so.
How old is mine?
Yeah, yours is. Well, technically it's over 6. So your iPhone XS Max is old enough to be enrolled in elementary school.
It's a funny thing to think of. And yes, I do know the specific one is at least. This probably came out on launch day and was still in stock at the Walmart I bought it from. Because, again, when I turned this on for the first time, it was running iOS 12.0.
And you updated it.
But of course I did!
You shouldn't have updated iPhone XS running iOS 12.0. Although,
and why should I care? Seriously.
So you're telling me that's been a massive mistake. Well, my XS doesn't work, so I can't. I don't have a XS Max, but you're telling me that it's been a massive. That I shouldn't care. That this iPhone XR. Let me boot it up right. You're telling me that I shouldn't care about this iPhone XR running iOS 12. And you're telling me that this baby should be running iOS 18 instead.
Well, maybe not 18 due to how bad Apple's been handling 18, but... Like, I planned on using this, not getting rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually kind of a more valid point, because, I mean, I use my iPhone 14 Pro on iOS 16, it's just fine for me for that, but, I mean, if you plan on using it and you're not, and you probably didn't even know about the whole collectability of iPhones on older iOS versions back then.
Well, even then, like, I never plan on selling it. That only becomes valuable when it comes time to sell it. And I'm not selling it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and also, I mean, you haven't been an Apple user for quite as long, so you don't get quite as nostalgic for older iOS versions as I do. Because I remember back when the iPhone XR was new on iOS 12, and I remember envying it so much just because I thought it looked so cool and colorful and how it was bezel-less, which is partially why I got my XR, even though it was cracked.
But
And it was blue, which is actually kind of hard to find online.
funny, I have a much easier time finding the blue 10Rs.
I didn't have a great time finding that on eBay.
Oh, I looked on Swappa,
On
that's
eBay,
why.
As most of the ones, yeah, because most of the ones I found, $10 I found were either black or on eBay were either black or white when I was just looking. And of course, I found the, and then I found the blue one running iOS 12.1.2. So, knowing me, you know what I had to do.
Though
I was gonna ask for a $10 for my birthday, but you know, some things are worth the price. Even if it's $140.
Yep. All right.
Shall I move on to our next topic?
I'd say so.
All right. So, the iPad Air 6 led iPad sales in 2024. Yes.
That's sad.
That truly is. I mean, I was debating upgrading from. Hang on, let me grab it. It's annoying how my iPad Air 5 is at the bottom of the stack, but I put it there, so. I'm still not used to this thing being the stack, quite being a stack yet, but. My iPad Air 5 running iOS. My iPad Air 5. Whoa, this baby is rough. This thing, I was debating upgrading from this thing to the iPad Air 6 briefly because this thing was starting to have some battery and overheating issues, the same ones that you had. However, ultimately, I remember just looking at it and thinking, this is too expensive, honestly. I didn't want to go budget again because last time I went budget with the 7th generation, it did not go well. But I just knew, like, nah, I've only had this iPad for 2 years, I should wait a little bit, so that's why I got the iPad Mini 7.
Well, at least that means the iPad Pro is still making its point that, hey, the software ain't professional enough here, Apple. Why aren't we doing anything about it?
And furthermore, I only know one person with an iPad Air 6, which is one of my teachers.
I wonder which one
my
sold
former
better,
teachers
the 11-inch or the 13-inch.
I think it was technically the 13-inch.
I suppose that's the cheapest that the biggest screen size option on an iPad has ever been, but
it's like the 15-inch MacBook Air. So
it's not worth $800. You can buy a much better iPad for that money on Apple's certified refurbished.
Or I think for $1,800, can't you just buy a brand new iPad for Pro for that much?
Well, it's another $200 because now they start at $1,000.
Oh yeah. Well, still, But still, to be honest, I would much rather go with an M4 iPad Pro over an M2 iPad Air.
I would have gone. Well, I mean, obviously, when it came to shopping this year, I bought the M4 iPad Pro 12.9 inch, but that's because I'm dumb and I had a major discount opportunity, so that's why that's why I ended up taking it. Even though I honestly still think it's not worth the price that even I paid for it on a discount. But like, if I didn't have that discount opportunity available, I would have just gone M1. Just bought the M1 iPad Pro from Certified Refurbished.
I don't think I would have bought the M1 iPad Pro on Certified Refurbished. But yeah, I can see where.
I mean, they basically replaced everything on it to the point where it's pretty much just a brand new iPad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get that, but I just don't like the idea of buying. Well, again, you know me, I like to buy devices when they're released. That way they can be on their original firmwares.
Yeah, I suppose that's your type of thing, but
that's why this iPad still runs iPadOS 18.0.
Yeah,
and by the way, this is one of Jordan Riddles' wallpapers, actually. Just thought I'd mention that.
So how's iPadOS 18 on that thing? Since you know how much I love iOS 18.
Oh, this is a great segue into my next topic, which is that there was a night when I had to use this iPhone 14 Pro more because the stupid keyboard on my iPad Air 7 wouldn't let me type and see the typing field, because I accidentally got into split mode, so I had to do quite a lot of finagling just to get back into normal mode so I could type. And this is when one of my friends' group chat, one of my friend group chat was going off like crazy, and I had YouTube comments to reply to.
Wow. Yeah, people might think this is minor, but the thing is, this probably isn't the only bug out there. And while sure, this is one thing on iPadOS 18 that Teddies deal with, that's one small thing compared to the many small things throughout the rest of Apple's device lineup that plagues both the iPad and the iPhone.
Exactly. How I mentioned in my latest video, how iOS is starting to copy Android.
To me, that's not even iOS's biggest problem right now. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a problem, but that's far from their biggest.
I meant like the problem was just that be starting to execute new features like Android and starting to become unstable.
I find that to be more of a problem throughout, like, not just software. Like, the camera control button, the way that was executed, none of it felt like Apple.
That's the world's stupid I wonder what Steve Jobs is thinking about that in his grave right now.
He would have shot that to hell and back.
Oh yeah.
Just wow, there was so many things Apple did this year. None of it felt like Apple. The only Apple things that I can think they did properly this year, the Mac Mini. That was truly the best Apple thing that came out last year. And then it was kind of cool to see Apple return to form with thinning the devices as much as possible, like with the M4 iPad Pro. That felt very Apple to me.
And I like the rest of the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro to the point where I was seriously debating upgrading.
I mean, same here.
The iPad Mini 7 isn't a bad iPad. The iPad Mini 7, which, yes, the iPad Mini 7, not the A17 Pro, like whatever Apple named it. That's fine, too. And I mean, there are other Apple products. They're not bad. It's just that their big headlining stuff is such a disaster, like the Vision Pro.
And Apple Intelligence.
Apple did officially release something. Yeah. Apple did release something new this year, though, that we will get into later on in a few topics down.
So, yeah, these bugs. Apple, this needs to be the focus of iOS 19. You need to squash these bugs.
Yes.
And the sad thing is, it doesn't even sound like Apple's actually going to focus on that. They're going to focus more on the Apple BS stuff.
Well, that's what artificial intelligence does to you, but speaking of artificial intelligence, before artificial intelligence and before our hiatus, what was the biggest thing we used to always ramble about on the show?
Gosh, this just goes to show how much my memory sucks. We ranted a lot about Vision Pro being pointless.
I mean, we still kind of do that, but what was the other big joke of this podcast?
Apple's always running out of printer ink. That's another one.
That's not a major one, though. This is a major thing we talked about before the hiatus. Like we brought up in nearly every episode. They're always doing something stupid.
I am completely drawing a blank. I really am.
They're represented by the colors yellow and blue.
Oh, the EU jokes.
Well, this isn't actually something the EU is doing, but you want to know. But it's funny how the EU joke suddenly disappeared. Like, remember how I said that maybe the EU won't be quite as stupid once we came back on our last episode before the hiatus?
Nope.
I mean, they haven't had quite as much headlining news since the hiatus, but yes. So because of the EU regulations, Apple has already discontinued the iPhone SE3 and the iPhone 14 in parts of Europe, which I guess I should have gotten my SE3 for this. But yeah, because of the EU's regulations.
Whoops.
Now, granted, it's not like the SE3 and 14 should necessarily be sold anyway, but yeah.
I mean, they provide cheaper options, and considering that this is overseas, you do kind of need some cheaper options to break into the smartphone market overseas.
I mean, European countries are typically more first world, though. In Western Europe, especially, is where Apple typically does.
Well, there are still many European countries where Android is still dominant, and it's because of cheaper phones.
Yeah. I mean, that's true, too. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's...
Apple still overall is dominating worldwide, but I can see where you're coming from.
Well, yeah, that's because the U.S. is like the largest smartphone market, and we care so much about our phones that we're willing to spend $1,000 on them. But you go so many other places, you'll find this is not the case. Like, especially overseas, a lot of people don't put as much priority into their smartphone. It's just... It's not as big of an enthusiast product as we like to think of it here in the U.S., where, I mean, yeah, we spend a lot of money on it, so it makes a mark on our personality. That's just not the case in Europe as much, or China, or India, or anywhere else. It seems like the U.S., North America in general, we care more about our smartphones than the rest of the world. And so because of that, if you don't really care that much about the product you're buying, then the number one thing you're most likely going to care about is the price, and that's where Apple struggles, because they're more of a boutique brand in the space.
That makes sense, but yeah, that's just goes to show what the EU is capable of, but we do have another government body that we have to talk about.
Oh, goodness. It better not be the U.S., because that has been a nightmare for the past month or two.
Oh, no. This doesn't involve the U.S. Now, you're never going to guess what country Apple's having a problem with now.
The DRC?
Yes! So Apple is being sued by the Democratic Republic of the Congo for taking critical minerals via laundering or greenwashing. Now, let's explain the context here. So basically, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, it's a massive issue. They have this massive issue where there was actually this author that explained it in this book called Cobalt Red. But basically, a lot of crucial elements for phones, for electronics, they have to be mined in countries like the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Particularly the cobalt and the batteries.
Yeah. And mind you, because a lot of these, And because and of course, their government is not particularly careful about safe conditions, so they have 5-year-old children working on this, and now you think, okay, well, they're surely gonna at least give these kids boots and jeans and heavy duty shirts or hoodies to do the mining in, right? Or else at least have adults do it with that kind of clothing like you would do here in the U.S. No, it's not the case. They give these kids like big shorts, t-shirts, no shoes, in a very, very dangerous job. Yeah. And force them into that. And now the DRC is suing Apple for taking critical minerals, even though I think the DRC now has, I know it's some Central African countries. I don't know if it's DRC involved in this, but I know there's several Central African countries that are basically being taken over by China now. So that way China can keep a stranglehold in manufacturing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if that were the case.
And of course, we all know how passionate China is with labor regulations.
Yeah, that don't really help the cases at all. Just, what a mess to be caught up in.
Yeah, somehow. But somehow, I highly doubt that Apple is actually taking these minerals. And even so...
I mean, I kind of wish that... Well, you know how I talked about in the last episode about the Chinese developed lithium iron phosphate battery? In fact, actually, I think if Samsung put that battery in the Note 7, it probably wouldn't have exploded.
That's probably a good case, and I mean, there's lots of examples of that, but...
I'm surprised that our smartphones really don't try many other battery technologies other than, well, the same NMC that we're used to all the time. And a big issue with that is NMC batteries typically require some type of cobalt, and that's the big one. I mean, lithium's up there too, but although lithium's also in LFP batteries, but...
Lithium can also be extracted from water.
Yeah, there's many different ways to get lithium, aside from just mining it in the ground, but the big one is cobalt. And this is something that LFP bypasses. There's no cobalt in LFP batteries. So why don't they scale down the LFP battery from your standard EV battery cell into something like a smartphone? I'm kind of curious why they haven't tried that, other than I do know that lithium iron phosphate is technically less energy dense. And when you're space constrained in a device like this, okay, it kind of makes sense, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to see the technology tried.
My guess is that would be too expensive. For phone makers to necessarily try that, but yeah, I can see why it should be tried though.
I actually think that the LFP battery is cheaper to produce than the NMC. The problem is the only factory that's making these cells right now is the only factories are in China. There's no production here in the US, which sucks. It is a massive problem.
Yeah,
I love the technology. Again, it's Chinese developed, and we all hate China, but the genuine truth is I love the technology. I just hate the political crap that it's tied to.
Yeah, because I mean, even if Apple wanted to switch to lithium iron phosphate, they probably or LFP batteries. The problem is that they probably couldn't, because sure they could possibly try, but they're just going to put, the U.S. government will just put heavy tariffs on that, which I mean that's right.
Yeah,
but
it's just...
Yeah, sure.
It's really frustrating because at this point we've proven that we can build batteries with less harmful materials, and we're still experimenting with various other materials that are less harmful. Albeit there aren't mass produced right now, but the big one that I can think of is like the LFP battery, because one of the number one chemicals that is required for NMC is cobalt. And LFP has no cobalt. So, yeah, there's my 2 cents on that again. Oh my gosh, are we going to bring up China all the time now? Jeez.
I guess so, but shall I move on to at the Apple Invites app?
Why is it a thing? I just need to ask, why is it a thing?
I don't know. For Apple, seems like they've been creating all these stupid, useless apps lately that could just be integrated into other apps, like the calendar. Like, couldn't Invites just be integrated into the calendar app?
It could just be a function that's tied to iMessage and Calendar. Do you really need a separate app?
I mean, you can make it look cool and whatnot, but I mean, no, you don't need a separate app for it. It's just like, that's just like Apple's stupid journal app.
I don't know what they're thinking. Just, where has this stupidity come from?
It's kind of like Freeform as well. Yeah, it seems like lately, like all these apps like Freeform and such are just not that great. And I mean, even like, or Apple Music Classical.
Gosh, that was one of that has to be one of the most pointless ones out there. Because if you want classical music, just open Apple Music and search classical music. Boom!
That's what both of my parents do, and furthermore, a lot of people don't just like classical music.
What is the
I mean, I like classical music,
point?
but not enough to. But I don't. I don't listen to it enough. But I don't really listen to it, so I would never get a service just for classical music.
Oh my gosh!
That's like a streaming service just for rock music. Or no, that rock music is actually kind of irrelevant, or sadly irrelevant these days. But I mean, new rock music is relevant, but that's like a dedicated streaming app for rap music.
The artificial intelligence really has been kicking in here.
Yes. Alright, shall I move on to some more artificial intelligence news, which isn't actually AI?
Oh, jeez. How dumb can this get?
So, the camera rings on the Samsung Galaxy S25 have been easily coming off.
No!
Yes.
What?
You heard me. This requires no explanation.
And this costs how much?
1,200, 1,300, somewhere in there. Doesn't matter. If it's 4 figures and it has that issue, then it's not worth that. In fact, you could argue that that's price gouging.
Oh. Samsung! Are you just asking me to take the shovel and bury you in the hole you continue to bury yourselves in?
I'd say yes, but this is just like, what's next? What's next with Samsung? First of all, they removed all their unique features. Then they got caught faking AI images with them, faking moon pictures with AI. Then they basically stopped releasing didn't release that many new features with their phones. And now this. What's next? Their phones are going to start exploding again?
I'm glad I ditched them a long time ago.
Yeah. I understand. But do you have anything more to say about this, or shall we move on to an actually much happier topic? Actually, I have two happy topics. Actually, I have three happy topics.
Samsung, what are you
In a
doing?
row.
To me, in my eyes right
embracing
now,
their artificial-
you're not even an Apple competitor. You don't compete with them anymore.
No, they're an AI company now.
They're not even that. They're just a ripoff.
Yes.
A scam. A con. That's what you are right now. Get your act together and start making real phones. Enough of the fake stuff.
Please.
Just make a real phone. Make a real Samsung phone. It's not that hard.
It apparently is, but
So, that's all I have to say about that.
all right. Shall we talk about the Pebble? Some more details about the Pebble return.
Sure.
So, just as some more details, so basically, the reason why Pebble is returning is because Google posted the original source code for Pebble's operating system, and the original founder has decided to reboot it.
Good for them. I'm still going to be sticking with my Apple Watch.
Yeah, same.
Oh,
but
I found my Sterling again,
but
by the way.
you lost it
keep
again?
losing this thing everywhere. I need to get Find My for it or something, but
I think there's actually did you see that Casio finally on Casio's most popular watch model, which I can't remember the name of it, but they apparently updated it to have like the ability to ping your phone, I think.
but it's not a Sterling.
Yeah,
I need to get a new battery for it.
No way. Apple would never add Find My that thing because that would rival the Apple Watch. But yeah.
Yeah, now I gotta show it for this camera too. Really nice watch. I just need to get a new battery for it.
Yeah. I debated getting a Sterling a couple years ago back when my school banned Apple Watches, but I ultimately decided that wasn't worth it since I literally just wear my Apple Watch for everything.
I would wear my Sterling to the fanciest of occasions.
Yeah. Like even when I was on the homecoming court, I still wore my Apple Watch just with this leather
You remember
band.
Marquez making a big deal of being invited to the Met Gala, and his watch of choice was just the Apple Watch? Remember? Yeah,
That's
he was making a big deal about that. I'm like, why make a big deal about it? It's a good-looking watch. Then again, I don't understand fashion. You should be able to tell due to my extensive T-shirt collection, most of it being just white T-shirts.
Yeah, you should tell how passionate I am about fashion with my extensive collection of wool shorts, even though I'm not wearing them. My extensive collection of these polo shirts and my T-shirts, which you've seen me wear. I don't know how many episodes I've worn this shirt for. And I still have one of my old ones that I've had for almost his entire career. And my extensive collection of jeans. And I have a couple hats, although I don't usually wear them.
So yeah, real fashion experts here.
Fancy shoes. And this.
Oh, I forgot you had that. Oh, where's mine? I gotta get mine.
Yeah. Alright, get some Cowboys now. I have cowboy boots too, but they don't really fit me, so...
It doesn't fit
I
with
don't
my
have
headphones
really
on.
cool, so. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Cowboys of TIFP!
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw, everybody! Let's enjoy some more tech news.
Rounding up all these leaks and rumors.
This is one of my old shirts that I've actually had for the entire duration of this podcast. I don't have enough room to store anywhere else, so it just goes here, so I don't wear it that much now. Should actually wear it again sometime. Shirt's really nostalgic, but yeah.
All right. Anywho.
All right. Do you have
what's next on the docket?
This is probably the coolest. This is one of the cooler topics, actually, because this is finally a new kind of innovative product that does not use AI.
Good. Innovation without artificial intelligence is always good.
So basically, the Logitech has just unveiled the Logitech Spot, which is a motion sensor that detects motion via millimeter wave radar. Now, wave is the same technology that makes 5G work, but the problem with wave technology for 5G is that wave technology has very limited range, and it can get blocked by literally everything. But wave technology for motion sensors would actually be useful since, again, you want it to detect things that are close.
I'd say so. That makes sense.
So, I mean, it's just a motion sensor, but I mean, come on, like, you gotta admit that's pretty cool.
Imagine if they put this tech into a mouse.
Oh, wait, it's Logitech. They could actually do that.
Yeah, that'll be the next big feature for the MX Master.
I don't usually use mice on my computers now because I just like using my built-in. I just like to use all my computers included components, but yeah.
I mean, if I'm using the laptop by itself, unless I'm video editing, then yeah, I'll just use the trackpad, but boy, is having a mouse nice for video editing. And then at my setup at work, where I use an XPS, meaning I have to use Windows. Oh man, I would love to have a Logitech MX Master as my mouse for that.
Ooh. I actually used to have an MX Master, but I think I gave that to one of my parents though, because I didn't use it very much.
Yeah, dude. Those mice are expensive. Yeah, like, everyone thinks the Magic Mouse is expensive. The MX Master's like $100.
I actually had an MX Master. I just didn't really use it much, but yeah. I have an unboxing. I still have the unboxing for that on my channel.
Yeah, I would love to have an MX Master for my desk setup at work.
Do you just have like a basic cheapo Amazon mouse or a Logitech
mouse?
I
bought it from Walmart, and it's not like the most bare bones mouse you could buy. Like, the scroll wheel, you can bump it side to side, but it doesn't do any side scrolling. It's just... I've programmed it to use as a back and forward control when browsing through different website pages or folder structures, or if I'm using SolidWorks, I program those as quick enter and escape functions.
I see.
But that's about as advanced as that mouse gets. There's not really much else to it.
I see. But speaking of advanced, shall we talk about some advanced technology that just got banned?
Why is the U.S. not on this list?
I don't know. This is actually kind of surprising, but I imagine it won't take too long. But Italy, France, Belgium, Germany, South Korea, and Taiwan have already banned DeepSeek.
I'm surprised the U.S. isn't on this list too, because, again, with the way that artificial intelligence works, it requires a lot of data and training and such. And I don't know exactly if it would use China's data or if it also try to find a way to loop in our own data if we were to make requests with it. So I kind of consider it to be a matter of national security, if I'm being honest.
Hey. But yeah, basically, DeepSeek has already been and one of the key reasons why DeepSeek has been banned in those countries is because there were some people that managed to use a few sneaky workarounds to get DeepSeek to ask things like, I don't know if how to build a bomb was on it, but I know, but like how to build a meth lab. But I know DeepSeek asked how to build a meth lab. Like you could ask DeepSeek how to build one.
Yikes!
And it would give like supposed instructions on how to build one.
That's bad.
Yeah, don't build meth labs.
Or nuclear bombs, please.
Bombs. Don't build that stuff. Don't build that stuff.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. That's a good reason for it to be banned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope the US gets on that list quick.
Just like how I think the US should ban YouTube Kids, which is a possible segue, which is a great segue into our next topic.
Well, I don't think it should be banned. The problem is it's being very heavily ignored right now to where this type of content is getting slipped in.
So basically, I had Alpha explain this to me earlier. Basically, so there's this whole Elsagate thing going on YouTube Kids. Again, I don't have little kid. I don't know. You know, I don't have little siblings.
Yeah, I should probably explain this.
I don't really anybody will know this. Actually, please.
Yeah, so you brought up Elsagate. What Elsagate is, if you guys don't know, is it was a bit of a problem going on for YouTube content geared towards kids, where you'll have some creators dress up as Elsa and Spider-Man, and they do some very adulty things. And there'd also be a lot of blood and gore and guts and baby-related stuff going on. Yeah, you can probably imagine the whole mess that was causing. And the problem was this content was getting pushed and recommended towards kids. And my God, were the view counts high, which means somebody was making a ton of money off of this whole nightmare for children. And it took YouTube a while to deal with it, but eventually there was a big enough and large enough outcry from parents to finally get this acknowledged and sort of reeled back. Though I'm not entirely sure if YouTube is still paying attention to this, because there are still some channels that try to get away with this. Like our latest example that I've decided to bring up in our topic list today. You guys like cats?
I guess I should show Spawn Beatrice right in here. Hi, Spawn Beatrice. You guys are on camera.
So, yeah, you guys like cats?
Yeah, I don't usually have cats in my room when I come. Yeah, obviously, yes.
Do you like cat videos?
Actually, I'm not the biggest fan of cat videos. I just don't watch them.
Okay. I'm assuming, though, typically people are going to answer yes to that question. Do you like cat cartoons? I know little kids do.
No.
I know little kids do. How about cat cartoons with blood, guts, gore, and baby stuff?
Yes, that's actual content on YouTube, apparently.
It is! I'm not even lying. I wish I was. But I'm not. And from what I'm seeing, they're using AI to generate this content. So if there's one thing I've learned about scam artists and general bad people, generally they are quite lazy. So if they can find someone else to do their dirty work for them, they are often going to take that opportunity. And who's that someone else doing their dirty work for them?
AI.
Artificial intelligence. So these dirty scumbags are using artificial intelligence to make very inappropriate cat videos for YouTube and are gearing it towards kids. It's Elsa Gate all over again.
This is why I'm never gonna let my kids watch YouTube Kids when I grow up, or when I grow up and have kids. If YouTube Kids is still around.
Yeah, I would just completely ban YouTube altogether. And if YouTube is going to be on, then I need to be in the room.
Yeah, I would say when they're really little, I would just say that I need to be in the room for that until they're, I would say around the age of 10. That would give them a little more.
Yeah, I mean, we've dunked on Hollywood a lot. We have. But if there's one thing that Hollywood has been pretty darn good at that YouTube really hasn't been, it's age restricting movies.
I mean, that is true I will admit, this is actually a controversial opinion, but PBS actually does make some decent kids programming. At least they used to back when I was little. I don't know if they still do or not. And it's free, and mind you, it's completely free.
Yeah, it was Nickelodeon, but that was the really bad one. But
what was why is Nickelodeon bad too?
Their CEO, and there's been some questionable activity that has gone on between the child actors and the stage hands behind the camera.
I think I know what you're talking about.
You can probably assume where that's going, so we're not going to dive deeper into that.
Yeah, I think I know the specific scandal you were talking about.
Yeah, so... But yeah, you got to give Hollywood credit for that. They at least have a pretty good reputation for appropriately age-restricting content. YouTube mostly leaves it up to the creators to decide that. And, well, yeah, there are some creators who do an actual good job at knowing when, no, this content is not made for kids. We're going to restrict it so that way kids can't watch it. That's fine.
Like this podcast is technically not made for kids because, I mean, it's not necessarily that we do explicit stuff on the show. Sometimes there'll be swearing or whatnot, but it's just that we talk about adult subjects more like politics and whatnot. And
yeah. So there are good creators that use this feature appropriately. The problem is there are also bad actors. It's like how we have the whole mess with the YouTube copyright system. It's you know that the copyright system on YouTube is a complete and total mess, right?
Oh yeah, I got flagged. One of my videos got flagged once because it claimed that one of the included effects I used in iMovie for the floating water thing, it claimed that was owned by another channel.
No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, didn't you do an unlisted video of you singing a Christmas carol that YouTube claimed that a Chinese YouTube channel owned?
Yeah. For context, I decided I was recording some music and I wanted to share it with some friends and family, so I uploaded it to my personal channel as an unlisted video. But somehow, YouTube thought that it was owned by a Chinese firm.
That, I think, was in 2021.
The song is "What Child Is This?" Well, it was a medley, actually. It was a medley of "What Child Is This?" and "Child of the Poor." It's a Christmas song.
I don't know. I don't know that. I don't actually know that specific one.
Yeah, you might not know Child of the Poor. You might recognize what child is this. I'd whistle it, but I don't want to get this claimed by another Chinese firm.
Yeah. Also, it's February.
Yeah.
And most of the time, people are not going to be watching this episode at Christmas time.
No.
Or listening to it.
No, they would not. But yeah, YouTube's copyright system is broken, and that's because they pretty much most of the time leave it up to the creators. And the problem is, while yes, there are some creators that do use it in good faith, the problem is when you release a product, you have to assume that it will be misused. Don't think, it could be misused, might not be, leave out the chance. No. Always assume it will be misused.
That's one of the reasons why I don't allow remixing on any of my videos or my podcasts, and that's also another big reason why I don't want. That's another big reason why I don't want. That's another big reason why. Like one time there was this guy who I talked to online back in late 2022 that did that, and I remember back when right after I posted my video on the evolution of Apple's website from 1996 until 2022. So that guy also posted a video of that, and it was literally just a screen recording of my video, and he had not asked me if he could do that. So I literally filed a copyright claim against him, and that video did get taken down.
Good. That's how it's supposed to be done. But more times than should be allowed, it's not been the case. It's been for technically illegal reasons, but yeah, you
how is it illegal?
Because the copyright thing, when you actually do that, when you're filing a dispute for copyright on YouTube, it's also technically a legal dispute, which means say you were to fight about who owns the rights to this content. Well, most of the time it should be obvious, yeah, you're not supposed to do that, but say it does get into a dispute of who actually owns the content, that can go to the courts. So it does technically get legal involved. So if you misuse it, you're technically doing illegal stuff, because depending on how this dispute goes through, yeah, you could actually go to court, sit through trials and such, and
I don't know how that would work for me, actually, because I'm a minor, but and my channel thinks was born in, and my channel thinks
you'd probably
28.
What would probably happen is they'd get some legal representative or something like that. Like, you always have the right to hire an attorney. So my guess is you'd have an attorney represent you instead of you representing yourself.
And because I'm not necessarily like a big and because I'm not and I'm sure I would have to have, well, at least one of my parents there.
Yeah, most likely. I've sadly heard of unfortunate times where children even younger than you had to go up and testify for crimes, and just, oh my gosh, that's got to be traumatic for them.
Yeah, luckily I've never had to go through court.
Yeah, I'm always worried about jury duty.
And hopefully I never will.
Because technically I could be called for it at any point.
I think that jury duty should be illegal to force people to call for.
I understand why it exists. I just wish we had a better system for it. But
yeah.
Well, the thing is, you have a right to trial by jury.
Yeah, I mean, you do have a right to a trial by jury, but it's just that the way juries are selected is just often unfair, just inconvenient.
My mom had to do it when she was pregnant. And this was during the
Yeah, I
later
guess
months of her
I'm
pregnancy when she was called.
sure I'll probably. I know there are some don't. I'm like one time. One of my one time I actually know someone who got called for jury duty, but because she couldn't do it, but because she had some reason that she couldn't do it, they actually let her not do it. So I'm surprised that again your mom lived in a completely different state. So
Well, most of the time, you have to have a really good reason to get out of jury duty.
yeah, because I mean a pregnancy is a natural reason. So
But nope, she still had to attend.
because to me, if I ever gotten jury duty, I mean most of the time like you can't. How can they expect people to actually care about the cases if they're just going to be forced to
That's
jury
why
duty?
they do this, though. It's
Like,
to
they're
get
just-
an unbiased opinion.
I mean, they're not going to care though. They're just going to pick whatever random opinion they want a lot of times.
I don't think that's the case. But like the reason why they pick random people within town
Yeah.
is so that way there's no bias and a just decision can be made.
I mean, I know why they do it, but sometimes I think this nonpartisan jury thing is kind of pointless because I think especially for larger scale cases, like why even bother since you know there's going to be no nonpartisan jury. Like for some of these like really, really big cases.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know any of this stuff very well.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only had government class and we didn't even go over it in there.
Yep.
Or I mean went over jury, but not how you get forced into jury duty.
So, jury duty aside, we still got to wrap up the rest of our topics.
All right, so I guess shall we move on to our next topic about how Tesla's robotaxi service is to launch in Austin, Texas this June.
Is this where they finally reach, is it level 4? I think maybe? Because we've been stuck at level 2 for such a long time.
I'm honestly stoked for this because, I mean, this is going to change the game big time for urban transportation in the United States. Especially.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say it's going to be a big change for public transportation. And the only thing...
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I meant. Like,
yeah, I mean, it would make sense like around here because we don't have that many options for public transportation around here. Like, let me count. There's one bus that is only driving around the city. I don't live in the city directly. I have to get there. So there's only one bus, one taxi, and I believe we have a Lyft driver.
let me see what there is in my city. Oh, right, nothing. No public transportation whatsoever.
I'm sure you have a taxi service somewhere. I'm positive you have a taxi service somewhere.
No, I've never seen a taxi on the road, at least in my general area. So I genuinely
Search taxi.
don't think there.
Just search taxi
there
cab
may
in my
be-
area.
Taxi near me. Okay, there is actually one, technically.
That's what I thought. Because you'd think not everybody is going to have access to their car all the time. Like, when my car was in the shop for a month and a half, I mean, I got lucky that I got rides from friends, but if you don't have any friends you can gain rides from, how are you supposed to get to and from work and the store and such? You need something. So every city needs some form of public transportation. Yeah. It's just bad if that doesn't even exist.
Yeah, I mean, I have one, but I mean, this will change. But my father and I have actually done some talking about. We haven't formally discussed any plan. We haven't formally planned anything yet, but we have talked about possibly going to Austin later this summer once I get back from Europe.
Lots of traveling,
To
jeez.
go check. Yes.
It's gonna feel good to get out of your state, isn't it? There are flights from Houghton to Chicago.
I mean, yeah, but it wouldn't be practical enough to fly from
I still know people who
let's
do
say,
it.
Use Little Rock as an example. Are they flying to Chicago to fly somewhere else out of Chicago?
Yeah, they kind of have to, but well, even to visit the city, yeah, I know a lot of people who fly. Despite that, you could just drive there. Well, back to the robo-taxi thing. I really don't know whether or not to be excited because it's not going to affect me. I will continue to drive my
it's
own
not gonna
personal
affect me.
vehicle.
Yeah, same. And again, even if I do go to Austin to try this out, it'll probably just be a try it out just to get a glimpse of the future because this is going to change. This is going to change a lot of people's lives in big cities, but this is not going to change the lives of us small town guys.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that, like, the name taxi is in robo-taxi. So why do you guys think that this is going to be more than just another taxi service? Just this time there's no human driver.
Exactly.
It's really as simple as it sounds. So, will it be a big deal for public transportation? Absolutely. That means a lot of taxi drivers are about to lose their jobs. And for anyone else who just drives a car normally, like what I do, what Teddy does, what most people do.
What Tabby does.
Yeah, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to change the way we commute. Because literally the experience is going to be the exact same as calling up a taxi cab. It's just this time it's a robot driving the car and not a human. It's literally going to be that experience. Nothing else more than that.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't understand that in areas like where I live, that just doesn't really work all that well, and it's not very convenient for us.
No, it does. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me to get a taxi because there are some places like I have to drive to, like my school. I have to be at my school at a specific time. I don't have time to sit around and wait for a taxi to come pick me up. Especially when a lot of kids are probably going to have to. When there's going to be a lot of people who are going to need that.
Yeah.
So therefore, why would I waste my time trying to get a taxi to take me to school when I could just drive there or else back before I got my license, have one of my parents take me?
Well, that's either that or the bus, which they offer the bus and such. But even then, a bus would be more appropriate than a single car if you're gathering a bunch of people to take them all to one place.
Yeah, exactly. That's why buses are so successful I shouldn't say they're just so successful, but
But it's why they exist. It's to haul a massive amount of people from one commonly gathered spot to another. Same case with train stations. Like when I took the metro, I think it was metro, just the metro trains, the subways in DC last time I was there. They're really great at moving a lot of people from one place to another. But to move that many people all in taxi cabs, that's just a really bad waste of resources.
Yeah, there's this I actually saw an ad on YouTube that was trending, I would say a year or so ago, about how advertised your stress-free way to get this to this big city in the southeast that I can't say. I'll put it in the chat though, because of the docs where I generally am. But yeah, advertise how if you want to go to that city, you get like a stress. I don't know if if it would actually be stress-free, but a stress-free way to get free way to get to that city.
Well, it's also like why planes are a thing. Nobody owns their personal plane. Well, most people don't own their personal plane. They all gather onto one.
I actually kind of want to get my pilot's license just so I can own my own personal plane and fly myself places.
You do you, I guess. I would not.
Yeah. I would do the only, again, I would have, as some of my relatives have done that, and I believe I can become a train to become a pilot now.
I wouldn't. I hate heights too much. But still, like, we have all these different methods, and like when it comes to, yeah, he brought up the school thing. That's why buses work. That's why school buses work. You're gathering a bunch of people and bringing them all to one location. But for taxi cabs, that's not convenient for that. And a bus doesn't work very well for when you have to bring a single person from one random spot to another random spot. That's just a waste of resources. So, yeah, taxi cabs have their place.
Yeah.
And most of the time they work in settings where it's hard to own a car. Because, yeah, cities, yeah, it is hard to own a car in the city. I can see that. The biggest problem with owning a car in the city is finding a freaking parking spot.
And furthermore, big cities have a lot of crime, so, you have to worry about carjacking and paid parking.
Yeah, you got to worry about paying for the parking spot because, again, they're hard to find. You have to worry about a lot more vandalism and theft and such. It's not as big of a problem as out here. So, yeah, I understand. There are places in the United States where it is truly difficult to own a car. I'm not dissing on that. I understand that. But the thing is, that's only in the cities. Basically, anywhere else you live in America, like even a suburb, like, say, smaller city, like, what's a good one I should use as an example? There's Wausau, Wisconsin. Technically a city, and it has some form of public transportation. But for the most part, the residents live in a suburban setting, and they need their own personal vehicle to get out of their suburban setting to their place of work. Same case goes for the Asheville area in North Carolina, since I bring up I want to move there all the time. Same exact deal. It's no different. So,
yeah.
Robo-taxis will be a game changer in the cities, but that's pretty much it. Though I do find it cool that apparently now the Teslas are driving themselves off the factory line to their parking spot in preparation of loading up for shipment.
That is actually really handy.
That is pretty darn cool. Hopefully that means you don't have to go through the autopilot calibration process anymore.
Phew.
So, yeah, Tesla does have some cool tech. I'll give them that. The likelihood of me using it,
Shall I move on?
Not very high.
Yeah. Yeah, I like driving myself, so I would never use FSD, but shall I move on to the Consumers Reports latest scandal, which also involves self-driving systems?
So I found this online, just browsing through Twitter. I saw this in a retweet. Somebody had posted an article, a Consumer Report, and apparently Consumer Reports has always been pretty reputable. Like, they've done a pretty darn good job of actual proper journalism, but they made a really big screw up in this last one. What happened was they wanted to write an article comparing all the automakers to see where they're at in terms of their self-driving tech.
Oh, no.
So, here's the thing. Tesla offers 3 different systems for self-driving tech. There's base autopilot, which comes with every Tesla. And all it basically does is it's a combination of adaptive cruise control and lane centering. Basic is in the name for a reason. It's basic autopilot. Then we move up to enhanced autopilot, where it brings in some extra features like navigate on autopilot. So it takes basic autopilot, but then puts navigation into it, so it'll follow navigation routes and such. You also get smart summon and various other things. But this is technically a dated system. It's running on older code that came out near 2016, 2017, sometime in that era. I don't remember when enhanced autopilot was official. And then we have the real updated, the latest and greatest Tesla full self-driving, and it's gone through a few names like beta or unsupervised, or not unsupervised. It's still technically supervised because it's still a level 2 system. But yeah, they offer 3 different levels of self-driving tech. And which one did Consumer Reports to showcase where Tesla's at?
They chose basic autopilot.
They chose basic autopilot. Despite comparing it to the best that BMW and Mercedes and all the other brands have to offer, like Super Cruise, Blue Cruise, they compared it to all that, which put Tesla in a very negative light compared to them.
Furthermore, average people trust Consumer Reports. Like, back in late 2022, my hours are acting up, but back in late in 2022, my dad showed me a catalog that he got from, that he got from Consumer Reports, and one of them had an article mentioning how it was in late 2022, so it was a year-round test of the iPhone 13 Pro Max compared to, I think, the Samsung Galaxy S21 or 2 versus whatever OnePlus was out at that time. And it explained how people were very, very satisfied with the OnePlus. However, I remember thinking as I read that, like, this is total bull.
Yeah.
I'll just use the word bull.
I mean, what's the likelihood of spotting a OnePlus phone out in the wild? It used to be common. Like, I've spotted OnePlus 7s and 7 Pros once upon a time, but
I've never seen a OnePlus out in public.
yeah, they're hard to find.
Or outside of demo
Yeah,
stores.
they have to be like real Android enthusiasts to find them. But I did meet a few Android enthusiast friends. By the way, this person is now using an iPhone, believe it or not, as funny as that is. But he did have a OnePlus 7 Pro. Now he's using an iPhone 16 Pro Max, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, he gave the iPhone 14 a shot, and then that's what made him switch to iPhone.
That was even the 14. That was generally like one of the biggest jokes in terms of upgrades.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was that one time when and I remember back in December, I think I mentioned this before, but back in December of 2021, I remember back when my dad and I were at our local T-Mobile store. We were just visiting, obviously. because we use AT&T. But I remember back when my dad got obsessed with reading this article on one of the OnePlus Nord phones.
Oh, and how did I completely forget
like
that my
an online
sister
article
used to
that-
use a OnePlus?
Oh yeah, your sister did use a OnePlus.
Yeah, she had the Nord
Your
N200.
older sister, obvious. Yeah, that Nord garbage.
It wasn't completely terrible, actually.
I mean, it wasn't, but it's garbage for my standards.
I mean, hey, it had a 90 hertz
Well, my-
display, everyone. You know, the one feature that makes the base iPhones terrible because, they're only capped at 60 hertz. But this OnePlus had a 90 hertz display, so I hope you're happy.
Imagine not having to deal with 60 hertz anymore on your iPhone.
So, but yeah, Consumer
Imagine having
Reports.
to deal with 1%.
We do have to wrap this up because we got like 20 minutes
Imagine
left.
being at 1%.
Oh, yeah, time to charge that thing.
Yeah, I'll charge it once I get done with this because I don't have a charger on me right now.
Yeah, but Consumer Reports is now about to take another major hit to their reputation because that's just bad journalism to really not catch. Wait, this is only the basic autopilot, not the full FSD. Because that really would have changed their report if they had actually tested Tesla FSD. It has gotten surprisingly good.
It really has.
Very surprisingly good.
All right. I hate to burst our bubble here on rambling on full self on Consumer Reports, but shall we move on to our rumors now? For we have 3 of them, and we don't even have 20 minutes left.
Yep. So all right, fire away. Let's get them out of the box.
So Apple has reportedly canceled their plan to build, or Apple's rumored that they canceled their plan to build smart glasses.
And we're going to finish the rest of the show like this because I guess this is how Apple decided to handle mixed reality.
Can you see me? You can't see me, can you?
I can see you. Albeit you're a fuzzy mess, but I can see you.
Are you nearsighted or
Farsighted?
Zach,
I'm
curiosity?
farsighted.
So that means that you can see up close but not far away.
Opposite.
Oh.
They literally mean exactly what they sound
you
like. That means I
technically
can see far, and nearsighted means you can see near.
So I'm guessing if you're farsighted, that means that I guess that means that you need more like reading glasses. Well, I know you need expensive glasses, but
Yeah, I do need my glasses to like read what's on my
These are
iPad.
more
I
complex.
cannot read what's on my iPad right now. It's literally impossible. Meanwhile, my clock over on my nightstand shows 8:40. Is that a 4 or is that a 5?
4.
Yep, that's a 4. Yep, 8:44.
Yeah, so I'm guessing you're a little bit farsighted, I'm guessing you're a little bit nearsighted too.
No, it's farsighted means I can see things further away, but I can't see things that close to me.
I meant like you couldn't tell if it was a 4 or 5 though. So I was just curious, like if you have some trouble seeing far away.
Well, I wear glasses most of the time, so when I'm not wearing them, I need to shift my focus, and that's a challenge. So, like when I wake up in the morning,
yeah.
I can read things that are far away just fine. But when I just take my glasses off, no, I struggle to see, and that's because I need to shift my focus.
Yeah.
So.
That makes sense.
Anywho, yeah, Apple canceling that, it goes to show this whole mixed reality thing. I mean, what's the point? Why are we trying to escape reality when we know that's impossible?
Exactly. But now, shall I move on to the rumors of the iPhone SE4?
What rumors are
Nice
left?
ones.
I mean, USB-C, similar to... I mean, it has dynamic island, single camera lens.
So apparently it's going to have an OLED display. May not be called the iPhone 16e after all, which makes sense. As apparently it's rumored to both satellite connectivity and car crash detection.
Sometimes I wonder if this is supposed to be the 17 Air everyone keeps mentioning, or if this is the SE3, or I don't know what. None of these iPhone rumors, nothing makes sense anymore. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm so confused. What phone is this rumor supposed to be associated with?
It's supposed to be particularly associated with the SE4, but yeah, actually you make a good point, because, I mean, I guess we can go ahead and get our one iPhone 17 era rumor out of the way, but it is rumored to just have one single earpiece speaker, and that's it for sound.
And that sounds like a SE type thing, a cost-cutting measure.
Yeah.
So it just makes me wonder, could this potentially be the same phone?
I wonder that too!
Because that's literally the only logical justification I can think of. Because to me, it just doesn't make sense to remove basically all of your lenses. It's like if you need more lenses, to just make the camera bump bigger. Apple has shown to do that in the past. What's stopping them from just making the camera bump bigger? The camera bump doesn't affect the general thickness of the phone, just the thickness of the bump. That's it. So what does more lenses have to do with that? That makes no sense why they remove all of them and still charge a very premium price tag for what feels like should be a budget. None of it makes sense.
And furthermore, the iPhone... And furthermore, the Plus line, the iPhone hasn't done well, the Mini hasn't done well, so maybe Apple's just realizing that they only need 4 iPhone lineup instead of 5 iPhone lineup, as it should just be the SE, Standard, Pro, and Pro Max.
It seems so. They've tried this 4th iPhone. I'm excluding the SE because it's very different price category, but they've tried a 4th new iPhone ever since 2020. They started with the Mini. That went bust. They then tried the other side. It went bust. And I think it's just Apple's offering too many products. I mean, initially it made sense. You have a base model and a more expensive model. And I guess people care about screen size or price, so you divide it into that. Like, it sounds like a healthy quadrant. Everybody loves a good quadrant. But I guess the problem is the people who care about the cheaper iPhones, like the base prices, I guess the majority of people don't really care about the screen size. They mostly care about the price it costs.
And furthermore, it's the iPhone 16 base, the base iPhone 16 is 6.1 inches. That's already a really big screen for a phone, mind you.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, in this day and age, it's kind of small, but that's because phones have gotten so big. But yeah, for the most part, I think at this point, it's just been proven, you know what, this 4 new iPhones every year, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's time we need to simplify the lineup here, because this ain't working.
Like what Steve Jobs would have done.
Yeah. So. Yeah, iPhone rumors just have not been making sense at all. I can't piece them together. And when I do, a lot of people insist, no, there's this SE 17 Air is slightly different. And I want to believe that's the case, but just, my gosh, nothing makes sense. It literally doesn't make sense, which is a good thing. That probably means we're going to be surprised in September.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to complain about. I don't remember the last time I was surprised to see much iPhone related stuff other than the whole quote unquote studio quality mic thing from the 16 series, but I think this is the first time in a long time we really don't know what the next iPhone's going to look like, because I mean, the rumors are even suggesting that they're going to change up the camera layout for the Pro series.
Well, again, they're being confusing about that too.
Precisely.
And furthermore, like, why would Apple suddenly switch the camera layout? Because it wouldn't be able to record spatial video.
I'm thinking they might bring it back all in line, just continue the vertical thing, where they put it in the stoplight configuration like my XS Max.
Yeah.
Which you won't believe
really
how
want
much
them to
I
do
wish
that.
they would do that. Oh.
What if they do that?
I might be buying a 17 series this year. I don't know. I could be.
I probably will. I probably will too.
So, yeah, I genuinely don't know if I'm going to get the 17 series or if I'm just going to get the 16 series when it comes out. That's why I'm waiting for September so I can see my options.
That's a wise choice, all right.
So, yeah, I've been complaining for a long time that nothing Apple's been doing is exciting. And I think it's a good thing that I'm complaining that I don't understand how these leaks are associated with which phone. Because this probably means we don't know. It feels kind of good to not completely know.
Sure does.
My only worry is just Apple's been on Apple's record for every iPhone that's come out since the 11 series came out and such. Every iPhone that's come out has been more and more of a disappointment to me. So because of that, that's lingering in the back of my head, making me worried about what are they going to do to make the 17 series even worse from the iPhone XS Max. But I don't know. So
that'll be an interesting question for us to find out this September, but shall we go ahead and wrap up the show now?
I'd say so, because I have a video that I need to film and then, oh gosh, I'm going to have to edit it on the iPad.
Well, while we let Alpha enjoy his misery, so that way we can let Alpha enjoy his misery editing via Final Cut Pro on the iPad. As always, I'm Teddy Magger from the iTunes Fanboy.
And my name is Alpha DeWolf from the Random Alpha.
And we thank you all for tuning in to another episode of TIFP. And as always, we should be back here relatively soon with probably more tech news. So as always, peace out.